Welcome back, everybody. Tusa Acres here. I just went out for my first morel hunt the other day, and I got to thinking about all the crap I need to bring, and I realized I didn't bring a couple things, so I figured I'd do a quick tutorial on what I take out in the woods when I go morel hunting. Let's get into it. All right, so it's going to be a little bit different for everybody, right? Depending on where you live, how familiar with the area and the landscape you are. I bring a few extra things, obviously, as you can see. So we'll just start. We'll work our way right across the table. There's no rhyme or reason here. There's no more important than another thing kind of dealio going on. First up I have is a Camelback. It doesn't matter if you bring a little one, big one, a bottle of water, whatever. I'm usually out there, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours sometimes. It's really nice to have the big pack, and plus using a pack like this, gives you space to bring a few extra things or carry something extra. I usually throw a couple paper towels in there, whether it's to blow my nose or wash my hands or whatever. It's just, takes up virtually no space and doesn't weigh anything. So water, and then carabiners, we'll talk about that next. Any type of carabiner. I usually take a hook similar to this. This is a Knightsy's, I think is how it's pronounced. I'm not really sure, to tell you the truth. And I just hook this through the bag and put it on my belt loop. That way, as I'm picking, I can just drop them in the bag and I don't have to carry the bags separately. So that's kind of nice. And if you find, whether it's trash you're picking up or just anything else you want to hang off your belt loop or whatever, off your bag even like this, it just comes in handy. So next, I prefer to cut my stems. A lot of people just pinch them off. A lot of people pull the roots out and everything. It doesn't matter what kind of knife you use. This one's nice. This is the one I've been using the last couple of years. Just slides right in the pocket and it's quick open. This year I'm trying a belt holstered knife. We'll see how it goes. It's kind of a pain in the butt, especially up here. It's still really cold right now, so I got a jacket on and a sweater and trying to get this in and out. So I don't know if I'm really gonna like that or not, but a little knife like this. I've seen other people in other videos use pruning shears. You could probably use a pair of Fiskars, regular scissors, something along those lines. But again, that's total personal preference there. I just prefer it. To me, it's a cleaner cut. And remember that stem is good meat, all right? It's very edible. I don't know if it's quite as good as the actual cap itself, but I like to get as much of the mushroom as I can. Next, again, depending on where you're at, how familiar with the grounds you are, I bring a compass just in case. The cell phones are great, and we'll get to that in a second here, but there's nothing quite like just being able to find your own way out without, assistance of electronics, right? So always have a backup, and that's kind of the same case with the whistle. Actually, this one's more specifically for my wife. Just because, we go out there and we start combing the woods and I don't know where she ends up, and she's not all that familiar with the layout up here. So figured it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a whistle. A whistle is one of the absolute best signal devices you can use. And the sound travels a long, long way. And it's cheap, it weighs virtually nothing, just stuff it in your pocket. We'll move on to glasses. When I'm in the woods, I really like clear glasses, and you don't need them, obviously, but I'm staring at the ground, and where I live up here in northern Michigan, we have a lot of saplings and a lot of low-hanging tree limbs, and I'm staring at the ground. I'm not necessarily looking out for limbs all the time. I mean, I try, you should. But this just in case a whippet, or you're pushing through brush and something flies back at your face, it's nice to have your eyes protected. I know it kind of sucks bringing two pairs, but I'll leave one pair on my head and then the other one actually wearing it at the same time, and when I need to swap out, it's no big deal. But so for me, I bring two pairs, and these are just Milwaukee. They're like $10 a pair. You can get them on clearance for $7 a pair every now and then. Last time they went on clearance, I bought 3 or 4 pairs of each, and they last a really long time. I actually got a comment on this, so if you haven't seen it, my video from last year talking about the tips on how I find the white morels out in the woods up here. A walk-in stick. Now, I don't use this specifically as a walk-in stick. I use it as a flip tool. It's got this little foot on the bottom down here, and it makes it really nice to just flip over leaves and bark and pushing brush out of the way. So something like this. And I literally just made this one day. I was tired of bending over and kicking leaves, and I just literally chopped a branch off and just make sure it's got this little foot on here, and I made one for the missus as well. And it works great. You know, it's the right height where I walk along, it's comfortable, it doesn't weigh much. This exact one, I've been using this exact one for 3 years now, so they last, you know, and cost nothing to make. I wear gloves. A lot of people don't, but I do. Again, I'm in thorny raspberry bushes. Raspberry bushes aren't bad if you don't really know the difference between raspberry and blackberry bushes. Blackberry bushes, the thorns on them are like rose thorns. They're very hard, prickly, needle-like. Raspberry bushes, they're prickly and they've got a million little thorns on them, but they're very soft thorns. So yeah, you can get splinters from it, but it's not usually bad. But I'm going through that kind of brush all the time up here. So I wear gloves. I'm usually covered. Sometimes I'll wear, depending on the temperature, I'll wear a short sleeve. But outside of that, everything else is covered. And that leads me to the next thing, bug spray. It's still really cold up here right now. We had that little bit of a warm up 2 weeks ago where it got up into the 80s. The bugs started coming out. And it's actually kind of nice when it happens like that. The bugs come out and then boom, it gets super cold again, you know, represses them quite a bit. And I don't know if it actually kills them off, but usually the bugs aren't near as bad when it starts warming up again. But some of the areas up here are bad with ticks, you know, so I'll even spray around my boots and along my pant line, my arms, my neck, all that stuff. But bug spray is invaluable. I prefer onion bags, fruit bags, you know, that. Look, there's no rhyme or reason. People have been trying to prove this one way or the other for probably centuries. As far as the spores falling out, you know, that's why people would use something like this versus a plastic bag or a paper bag or whatever. Personally, I use these because they're handy. I can see through it. I can hook onto it easily. They're durable. And what's it hurt? If the spores do come out, great, I'm prepared. If they don't, whatever. But it still works really well for me. I carry 2 smaller ones, and then I'll have at least one bigger one back at the vehicle, you know, big old onion bag. And it works, you know, so do what you like. It doesn't really matter, and nobody can really prove it one way or the other. Yes, spores do fall out, but at the same time, I've never heard anybody come up with, I mean, there is no actual scientific evidence showing any sort of rhyme or reason where these things grow. There's a lot of association, but there's nothing legitimate hard. If there was, they'd be farming morels, right? So there's really no way around that. For the rest of it, clothing-wise, I mentioned I usually stay covered head to toe for the most part. I like high boots, you know, 8-inch high boots, because I'm kicking through brush and vines and all that stuff, and I don't want stuff scraping up on my legs. But that's just me, you know, personal preference. Do it however you want. I'm just, you know, this is what I take out in the woods, so take it for what it is. Next, a car charger and the phone, right? Or a phone charger and a phone. I just downloaded the app Onyx, O-N-X, and it is a subscription-based app to get the full features of it. I just got the $29.99 per year subscription. It does everything I need. I'm not traveling out of state. Apparently the elite version of it is like $100 a year, and you get all states and all trails and all that stuff. I'm not going out of state, at least as of right now. I've never used it before because I've always hunted in an area that I'm very, very, very familiar with, intimately familiar with. I've been traveling these woods for 35, about 35 years, I'd say. And I know the woods, so I'm not really concerned about getting lost or where the state land is versus private land. But like I said, on Monday, we went out to state land on the other side of the county, actually another county over, and I'm not familiar with that area. And Google Maps changed. Google Maps used to show you a green area where it was state land. They don't do that anymore. So I downloaded this Onyx, and I'll tell you what, I'm really happy with it. It's fantastic. It shows you everything. As a matter of fact, one of the best parts that I like about the map is that the Onyx app is it shows you wildfire areas. And I don't normally hunt the black morels just because they don't really grow around here that well. But I think they're called exuberans. It's a variant of the black morel. They usually only grow in burn sites the following year after a wildfire. I just went and got my Michigan Morel expert license, so now I can legally sell them. And that was one of the things I figured I'd take advantage of. And the Onyx Hunt app shows you the wildfire burn area. And I knew of this big wildfire from last year. We went out and checked it out, and it was spot on. The app was absolutely spot on. We wandered around for a while, but that's what got me thinking about a phone charger to bring with you, because where we were at, the cell service was spotty at best. I mean, a lot of times we had no service at all. So I was literally just using the GPS on my map, and that's all. But because of that spotty service, the phone was dying pretty quick, and I was thinking, it'd probably be a good idea to keep a charger. I don't always keep a charger in the car. I know a lot of people do. I don't generally kill my phone in a day, so I don't normally think about it. So one thing I decided to put on the list, or for me anyway, was a phone charger to toss in the car. But that Onyx Hunt app, it's really great. You can see it shows you literally all the trails, wildfires. You can put different layers on it, public lands, private lands, the exact dimensions and borders of everything. Highly recommend it. So I think that about covers all the basics here, more than just the basics. The only other thing I can come up with is maybe throwing a snack or something in your bag or your pocket or whatnot. Outside of that, I'm going to be doing a lot more hunting here over the next, it's only the end of April right now. Our season up here doesn't really start until mid-May usually, so I'm several weeks early for where we are. The ground's still pretty chilly. As a matter of fact, we were really cold the other day, Monday when we were out hunting. It was like 40 degrees and blowing wind and just kind of miserable. But I'm going to be going over more tips and tricks out in the woods, what I'm looking for. So stay tuned, stick around. If this helped, please hit that like button and consider subscribing, and we'll catch you in a few days.